Okay, guys. This is going to be. I'm going to be reading a couple comments on archaeology on the DSM, which is I did on the other channel, Richard Swink. It's under one of my playlists. Probably how they abuse us psychologically or something like that. But if you haven't seen that video, you can go watch it. It's archaeology on the DSM. The DSM is the Bible for psychology, for psychiatrists. And I've shown there how it's all completely made up. It's all scripted. The whole field of medicine, for mental health and mental illness, is a complete scam. And so I suggest you go watch that if you haven't watched it. But I haven't done a video on the on psych in a while. So I've been wanting to do a comment on this person's or I've been wanting to do a video on this person's comment. This is from Nature Gazer. He says, I actually worked in the field for 25 years. I hated passing the meds and realizing we were lying to folks about the risk or side effects. Now, guys, what we have to understand, okay, because what happens is we blow people off like this that were in the field, that worked as a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever he was, for 25 years, pushing meds onto his patients, right? And we blow these people off, and then we go to our doctor and think our doctor's doing the right thing when our doctor's doing the same thing he's talking about here. So what we're doing is we're establishing that the whole system is meant to feed off you and benefit from your reliance upon them, and your so-called sickness that wouldn't even exist if you weren't poisoning yourself with toxic, poisonous so-called foods, and if our environments weren't so non-conducive to biological life that it causes brain disorders and everything else. So what they're doing is they cause the problem, then they have industry set up that they directly benefit off of, and they call these industries, they say they're experts, and then they put us in this mill of the education system to say, well, you can do the same thing, you can make lots of money and help people and all this. And in what you're doing is you're exchanging your time, attention, energy, focus, and humanity in exchange for their diplomas, their degrees, and their certifications to be able to build that ego up and, and make a lot of money and be a materialist and a consumerist, while at the same time virtue signaling that you're helping people, but you are actually giving them extremely toxic medications to treat symptoms and not getting to the underlying issue. Again, problem, reaction, solution. They're creating the problem because they know what our reaction is going to be, and then they have the solution. We come, oh, we're having all these problems. Okay, well, here we go. We got an answer. And so this is what he says. He was in the field for 25 years, and he hated passing the meds and realizing we were lying to folks about the risks or side effects. They brainwash young doctors and nurses on templates of what to say, much like a script. Air quotes, side effects tend to diminish in 2 weeks of use. Air quotes, you just need a higher dosage. That's why it's not working yet. And this is every doctor, every nurse. Guys, these people don't give a fuck about you. Now, nurses, when I went through my whole VA thing for my brain injury, and and that went on for over a year and a half, I was so mistreated by doctors it would blow your fucking minds. And I've documented that last year. Well, it's a lot of videos to go through to find all that stuff, and I might, start rehashing some of that. But I was mocked, I was made fun of, I was denied, I was told I was crazy, I was told that I was all of these things, that I was lying, that I was not understanding, that I was psychotic, that I had all these problems, right? And I'm like, my only problem is I'm in pain and I don't know what's going on with me. And so, and the first time I saw a psychologist at the age of like 30, or a psychiatrist at the age of 36, 37, I guess, around there, 36, right around in that area, for the first time. And I opened up to him. And so we're sitting there, and I opened up to him, and he's got his eyes closed. He was sleeping. The first time ever I had started, because I was at my wit's end, thinking, oh my God, it's got to be my childhood, because every time I get a brain injury or a concussion or a head injury, it would bring up my childhood, and I couldn't get away from my childhood because, my whole life I had been denying the horrible trueness of what I had went through, and just had gaslit myself and said, well, you did a lot of wrong things too, and it's partly your fault, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so all of these coping mechanisms of survival, right? It's all survival programming. So what you need to understand is that these doctors, okay, so the doctors in the VA system treated me so bad, it was disgusting. And I was a young, strong buck. I mean, if they're going to treat anybody right, it's going to be someone who can defend themselves. I can't even imagine in the horror stories I have of VA vets, Vietnam veteran friends of mine, older vets friends of mine that have gone through the VA system. This one guy, man, he was a Vietnam vet, and they had him on when he died. And he died from medication, a conflict in medications. His brother told me that they had went through and they found at least 40 medications, and they were doubling up on medications. Because he was going to different doctors, so they had him going to different doctors administering the same medicines to him. It was unreal. It was so sickening and perverse what they did to this man. And death was. I'm so happy he got to die, when he did, and he didn't have to keep on suffering, because this guy suffered for so many years. You wouldn't even fucking believe his goddamn story. It was tragic. And there's millions of vets that are good, millions of people who have been put through the ringer with the pharmaceutical and in the medical industry that have suffered and just gone through unbelievable stories. And you guys who haven't been run through the mill like this want to sit there and defend these doctors, when these doctors are trained to not do anything but administer medication. That is what they do, period. They do not treat your goddamn root cause of anything. Think about this, guys. The medical industry, it's an industry. What is the purpose of an industry? Look it up. The purpose of an industry is to make money, period. That is their thing. There is no company in the world, industry, or any government or anything else that is going to purposely lose their customers. You are not going to have the guy at the flower shop going, hey, well, I saw his roses over there. They look a lot better than mine, and he sells them for a little bit cheaper. You should go over there. You're not going to have the guy that does haircuts say, hey, the fades, man, this guy over here does a much better job than me on the fades. No, nobody's going to intentionally, no business is going to intentionally give away their fucking customers. The medical industry is not there to heal you or fix your problems. They are there to put band-aids on broken legs and administer highly toxic medications. They are there to treat symptoms. You can have 50 symptoms all stemming from one thing, your childhood trauma and abuse, your whatever, pick that underlying issue. But I'm telling you guys, 90% of these issues are coming from childhood trauma and abuse and poor diet and eating and ingesting toxic poisonous foods. And then the other major portion of it's coming from the stressful, non-conducive work and stress of these social structures and cultural structures that we live in that are non-conducive to biological life. It's those three things. It's so simple. It is as simple as that. If you address all three of those, you will heal yourself of anything, period. It's that simple. So, you think, oh, my doctor likes me. My doctor cares about me. His kid is on the same soccer team as mine. You are gaslighting yourself. You are an idiot and a fool. He doesn't care. You are money to him. You are a patient to him. You are a money generator. You keep him employed. You keep his status going. You build his ego. That's all you're doing. And if you're thinking anything otherwise, you are gaslighting yourself and you have Stockholm syndrome, because he's not taking care of the issue. He goes, just kicking myself for not seeing it for what it was sooner. Yeah, he's stuck in it for 25 years. Can you imagine the guilt and shame you would carry with yourself after, doing that to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people over the course of 25 years, gaslighting them and administering these highly toxic medications? How many people did he see pass away? How many people did he see, end up needing more medications? How many people did he see that ended up with horrendous side effects? How many people, do you understand what I'm saying? This is what it does by all this education shit and propping people up as experts and doctors and lawyers and educators and all this stuff. What it does is it keeps the people who do not have those certificates and degrees under the spell that there's an expert out there with the answer. And then it keeps the so-called experts, it keeps them in the matrix system because their ego is built so high, they can sit there day in and day out looking at client after client after client after client, year after year after year after thousands of them. And knowingly, intentionally doing the wrong thing as a human, and instead of relating to them and actually helping them, they are giving them fucking highly toxic medications that they become addicted to, that kills them, that ends up making them sicker, that ends up forcing more meds, that causes other problems. All of these things, guys, and there's no excuse for it. You can't say, well, that's just the way it is. That is ignorance. That is slave-minded thinking, guys. We must process these things. We must process these things and then get them fully behind us. Seeing a doctor is the last thing in the world you would ever do. You would never in your life again go participate in the medical industry, because once you realize how foolish it is, why would you participate in it? If you are still participating, if you're acknowledging, yeah, it's pretty bad, but I sort of use my common sense and use what he says and I just put them all together and then I figure out my own answer. No, you are still dealing with cognitive dissonance. You are defending your abuser. You are defending systems of abuse. You are participating, and by your participation, you are propagating and perpetuating these systems because they do not exist without us. Maybe you're able to think critically through something. Maybe you're able to have this conversation with your doctor and not just fall for his horse shit. But guess what? By you participating and sitting in the waiting room and everything else that goes along with it, these people who cannot, the little old lady and the young child and these other people who cannot speak out and think for themselves and handle themselves, that you are encouraging them to go, well, that man is in here, that woman's in here, and they look quite smart. And so do you see what I'm saying? You're reinforcing the slave programming. And so you're not by you not addressing and using your faculty of reasoning and running it through and then acting accordingly. And instead of just, you're thinking your surface level and you're going, yeah, but you're still stuck in your program, so you still see your doctor. Just by doing that, you are perpetuating this shit onto others who are not as strong-minded, who do not have that strong will as you do, who are not able to think as critically as you are, who are not able to put these things together. And so you are perpetuating this abuse onto them. Does this make sense? I hope this makes sense, guys. This is why we have to align our thoughts, words, and actions. We have to live in truth, fact, and reality. And you cannot be participating in any of these systems, the entertainment system, the political system, any of these medical industry, food industry, all of it has to go. You have to get it out of your life in order for your alignment, in order to get rid of all the cognitive dissonance, in order to be an example to other human beings of what it means to be a human, because otherwise you're playing games and you are passing on and perpetuating abuse and trauma. I have to say, hands down, that the best healing was group therapy. Yes, group therapy is amazing. That's what we're doing here. We're talking, we're sharing our stories, we're sharing our truths, we're sharing our experiences, because in the end, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter your theories or what you heard from some other YouTube fucking idiot or some goddamn expert or some goddamn educator or some pastor or some guru or some leader. It doesn't fucking matter. Those cocksucking egotistical assholes will say whatever they want to say in order to keep their following and keep people feeling like they're not good enough and they have to listen to this dickhead in order to get their information. You got to understand that. The only thing that matters is our experiences and our own insights, our own intuition, our own perspective on things that way, because our perspective, if we share it, then the others can help us see that how that perspective might be skewed, how that perspective might be programmed into you, and you think you're choosing with your free will, but you're actually just operating as an automaton in reaction. You're just reacting. You're not, you quit, you haven't even thought through these things. You haven't used your faculty of reasoning and thought deeply on them and then processed and then thought of all the different things that can come from that and ways to handle and then behave accordingly. You haven't done that yet. That means you haven't reclaimed your mind. That means you are a mindless minion. You're running on programs. I have to say, hands down, the best healing was group therapy. And I agree. One of the best healings that you can do is group therapy. People talking and humans interacting and sharing their shit. Sharing their stories, because then we see that we're all in this together. All of us who are being abused by these systems, by these industries, by these governments, are all in this together, and we need to quit gaslighting each other. We need to quit blaming each other. We need to quit, obfuscating. We need to quit denying. We need to quit, living off this survival character, and we need to get back to humanity. And that's what group therapy does. You hit your low, like a certain area, you hit your low and you share your story, and then you realize, oh my God, this trauma and abusive system, these parasitical systems of abuse that we find ourselves in, this parasitical culture that we find ourselves in, that cares nothing other than about its rhetoric and adherence, strict adherence to its policies, to its rules, to its laws, to its doctrine, to its dogma, to its rhetoric. That's all it cares about. It will crush anybody and anything, and it uses all its little minions in the group thinking mob to keep everybody in line. So you got to understand that all of these are extremely toxic. It doesn't matter what group you belong to. It doesn't matter any of that shit. We are, in essence, individuals. We are individual souls. We are all the fucking same, but they have used all these fucking thousands of categories to divide us and call us each little snowflakes, and we have to accept each other's bullshit. And that's all built out of ego character, because at the bottom of it all, and the problem is those egos are built off materialism, consumerism, fear, lack, worry, desire, coping mechanisms, dopamine hits. So, of course, there's going to be trillions of different, well, I got my own way to think and go about things, and this is how I feel, and and you just got to accept it, otherwise you're mean. And it's like, no, you dumb motherfucker. That is not the way to go about this. We all have to strip these egos out of the way and then just get down to the root thing, which is our humanity. And at that base level of humanity, we are all the same. Coming from soul, we are all the same. Period. It's that simple. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't. You cannot tell me I'm wrong. See, you got to understand the programming that we're on is a fucking apex predator program. That's what they this evolution, and we slowly came, and then we found fire, and then we were actually able to do this, and then our minds got smarter, and we were able to make tools and a wheel, and it's all horseshit, guys. This is all 100% script narrative to keep you in slavery. That's what it is, because it keeps you from thinking deeply. It keeps you from going back to birth. It keeps you from facing the real issues that they've got us consuming animal flesh, that they got us killing billions upon uncountless billions of animals a year, and before they're even killed, they're fucking tortured and fucking in horrid living conditions and everything else for our taste buds and for this false belief system called nutrition that's been forced into down our throats since we were young, and through all these industries and systems and governance and indoctrination. It's all a lie, and that's why they set up the backstory with this false history of where we came from, how far we've advanced, and it's all 100% a lie, and you have to get rid of that. You have to break that programming, because that's what it is. The only reason you would even think that there were cavemen and that we came from frogs is because their stupid asses fucking pushing that shit on you. Nobody woke up one day and said, I think we came from monkeys. Nobody woke up one day and said, I think my fucking ancestor was living in a cave with a bat and didn't know what a wheel was. Nobody did that, guys. This is all horse shit. Okay, so he says the best healing hand down was group therapy, finding someone to listen as you sort out inner fears and pain. Then a follow-up of life skills to learn self-love and coping. And I don't agree there. Coping. Fuck coping. Let's figure this shit out and then change our behaviors, change our ways, change our thought processes, change the programming we are in. Get rid of the ego that's afraid and worried about everything and always in lack and desire because it's running away from the truth and trying to keep the soul hidden. And let's pull the soul out and expose ourselves for the humans we are. We are not apex predators that are given permission because we are. If we were apex predators, there would be absolutely zero reason why we couldn't just go out there and murder, ravage, steal, rape, do whatever we had to do to get what we want, to get to the top. And you got to understand that is a whole system, a whole construct, scripted, narrated to keep you enslaved. We are not apex predators. We are humans. We are highly empathic. We are in connection at a biological level with these extremely advanced biological physical avatars that we inhabit with our souls and with our ego that we got to crush. And this biological avatar is able to communicate with everything biologically. Animals, plants, the earth, rocks, everything, guys. We are able to communicate with everything. That communication has been deadened, and they've gotten us to consent to deadening it every day, day in and day out. The more we eat animals, the more we act like we can just go out there and do whatever we want and man over nature, and we're the best because look how far we've come, and all of this shit. It's all egotistical hamster wheel enslavement is what it is, to separate you from your humanity. And the reason that's so important to the Matrix is because the Matrix is so fucking jealous. Let's say, I'll put it in this way. The Matrix is so goddamn jealous that you and I are connected in the way we are, because the Matrix is like a computer program. It will never have what we have. It will never have the human experience. It can't. And so what it does is it's like a jealous motherfucker that it's like, if I can't have it, nobody else is going to have it. And so that's why each one of us is considered important to the Matrix, because as each one of us pulls away and detaches, recognizes, accepts exactly what everything is for what it is, and detaches from that, we are taking that power back from the Matrix, and it does not like losing any of its fucking worshipers. It wants every single one of us. Exercise and practicing gratitude is a free way to push through a depression. Yes, but you have to get down and get to the root of things. You can't just put band-aids on broken legs and think you're going to exercise and practice gratitude and do healing modalities and everything's going to work out if you aren't addressing the root of everything, what's going to happen is you're going to get better physically, right? You're going to get better emotionally, spiritually, all these different ways. You're going to heal, and then you're going to have all this energy. And then what are you going to do? You are going to go out there because now you have a fresh burst of energy. You're feeling great, and you made a life-changing thing, and, and then you're going to preach about these modalities to people. You're going to tell these people, oh man, you wouldn't believe how great exercise is. Oh man, you wouldn't believe how great meditation is. Oh man, you wouldn't believe. And then what you're doing is you are virtue signaling. You are not, through the ego, this is egotistical. You are not getting down to what it means to be human. You are not connecting with humans. You are using your ego as a front man, as the straw man, and as the proxy to go out there and support the matrix system and all of these modalities and all of these things outside of each one of us to heal. And that's what I'm saying, guys. This is this is the most important point, because we think that, when we're down and out, when we're hitting rock bottom, it's easy to come to terms and realize and live in that manner of giving up everything and realizing how bad it is. But as soon as we start feeling good, we want it. If we have not crushed that ego and dealt with childhood trauma and abuse and dealt with the diet and dealt with all these, the recognition and acceptance of how pervasive this matrix is into all these industries, all these governments, all these systems, hierarchies of authority, then we will not, as soon as we start healing, we'll jump right back into building up an ego, whether it's the same one or a different one or multiple egos. And then all we care about is our own, thriving in this existence and how happy we are and how much love we're showing everybody and how much peace we're doing and all the good deeds we do while we're sitting there enjoying these things off the backs of slaves, because every single thing we have and everything you see in this room came from fucking slaves, enslaved wage labor and minimum wage slaves. Dude, this is no joke. This is the reality of it. And to just sit there and go, well, yeah, but this is what we got to do. That is not you. That is programming. That is you not being a human. You have to stick to your guns on this. You have to detach. You have to quit playing these games. You cannot be a human in a souled being with the soul at the driver's seat and knowingly participate in slavery systems and propagate and perpetuate them. It is absolutely impossible, because there is a conflict there. And if you're not dealing with cognitive dissonance and you are participating, that means you are fully led by ego. That means you are taken over, bamboozled, and hypnotized by your ego, who is justifying and making excuses for every action that you're taking. It's actually normal to have ebbs and flows of mood throughout lifetime. No, it's not. It's normal because we are living in conflict, because we have cognitive dissonance, because our soul's knocking at the door, but we refuse to answer. And every time it knocks, we're running from it. We're like trying to look for dopamine hits. We get depressed. We get all these things. We're like, where is this coming from? But we don't address the root issue. The key is learning self-care to get to the other side of the lows. Yes, self-care, but not self-care as in learning how to put different band-aids on the broken leg. It is learning how to rest and get down to the root issue and find out why the leg broke in the first place. How do I prevent the leg from continued worsening? The root, guys, the root of it all. We cannot sit here and just go, oh, well, I'm feeling like this, but hey, everybody gets depressed. Hey, everybody's got to work in slavery systems. Hey, everybody's got to enjoy the TV. Hey, everybody's got to vote for the president. Otherwise, you can't complain what's going on in politics. We've lost several generations to this pseudoscience. So you can see where he's surface level and sort of figuring these things out, but he didn't get there all the way because he hasn't addressed the root issues. Also from Nature Gazer. He says, I'll definitely check out the lecture and comments because I referred him to to some other videos on the psychological and how that whole system is a scam and set up. But he says the DSM is 100% used for billing. I used to do insurance authorizations. They require certain diagnoses to pay for inpatient stay or visits, when what folks need is someone to listen to folks as they process their pain to come up with their own conclusions. So yeah, again, your doctor is purposefully misdiagnosing you because he knows which diagnosis pays the most through insurance. Do you understand? Guys, your doctor doesn't give a good goddamn fuck about you. It's all about money, and that's why I'm saying that these cocksuckers are so dangerous. And this one, and this is a comment from the same man or woman, sorry, I don't know if it's a man or woman, but Nature Gazer, and this was on the video, another on Psych and Pharma. And he goes, being that I had internal knowledge of the deception and risks of meds when I felt ill with a neurological disease, compliments of a surgery, I declined the antidepressants, etc. they pushed at me. I was bullied and pressured to take psych meds for nerve pain caused by overactive glial cells and damage to the sympathetic nervous system. And you should what he's describing there, you shouldn't be taking any pills for that shit. You need rest, you need recovery, you need to do stretching, you need to do certain things for that you can do on your own that are completely free. Your diet, you better fucking get your diet right and get on whole raw foods for that kind of shit. But taking pills, that is crimes against humanity, that they're handing out fucking highly toxic medications for a neurological problem. When I declined from them, they wrote in my chart I was hostile, non-compliant. You have to understand, these doctors are, if you do not comply, they are so egotistical. If you are not doing exactly what they want you to do, they are writing in their notes on you, in your medical record, that you are hostile and non-compliant just because you refuse to follow their orders. You can be very nice. You can go, well, doc, I appreciate your advice, but I think I'm going to go about it this route. Thanks, doc. And you can be so nice. It doesn't matter how much ass kissing you do. This is what's going in your chart, because they are establishing a pattern of habit for you. Because one day if something happens and the cops are called or whatever else, something's going to happen later on, and then you are set up to be committed to a mental institution. You are set up to be disregarded, for your word to not be taken, for you to be, oh, he's a liar. Look at his chart. It says he's hostile, non-compliant. He's a conspiracy theorist. Do you see what I'm saying? So even though you think that you're getting away with participating in the systems, you're not. You're playing games, guys. You need to get down to the root of your problem. I used to pass these meds for 25 years. I knew them better than any of these overly educated quacks. And see, he was in the game for 25 years, and these guys are doing the same thing to him that he was doing to other people. I was able to find relief for my symptoms with a plant that they smeared in the media. I can't even tell my doctor I take it due to the propaganda put out about it. And he's still seeing his doctor. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. That is crazy. That's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results. Why are you going back to your abuser? These people literally were using their fucking degrees, diplomas, egos, and fucking status over you. Their social status over you as experts to try to force you and make you compliant to take highly toxic medication that you knew you didn't need. And they even, you had the repercussions you suffer from that was they wrote in your chart and are establishing a behavior on you saying that you're non-compliant and hostile. Lying. So now they're lying about you, and you're still going, and you can't even be honest and tell them what you're actually doing to help yourself, but you're still going. This is called Stockholm Syndrome, guys. I want you guys to recognize this. This is no joke. Your health and well-being, your mental health and well-being, your soul is on the line with this shit, and you're playing games. You're still participating. You're still feeding into these systems. And like I said, you can sit there and think you're strong enough to deal with the repercussions of it and be like, oh, I don't care. It's not a big deal. Nobody's going to see that he wrote that except for me and him. But you have to understand, by you involving yourself in these things, because you're talking to friends, you're talking to family about your doctor, what you're doing is you're reinforcing the indoctrination and the propaganda and the programming in your family and friends and all these other people that don't have that may not be that strong as you are and can't see through all this shit and don't understand and can't speak up for themselves and can't be firm in what they say and can't stand up to a doctor. So that's what I'm trying to say, guys. We are, by not aligning thoughts, words, and actions and acting appropriately and being brave and breaking these programs and detaching from these things and still participating in them, we are propagating and perpetuating and thereby guilty of, just as guilty. And that's how the Matrix gets us to be. See, the Matrix takes all the blame off itself because it gets each one of us to individually keep on complying and playing these games. So if we keep on complying and signing on the dotted line, then how can we sit there and point and go, oh, you tried to do this to me. Oh, you did this. Oh, you guys, I see what you're doing. How can we do that if we're actually complying and signing our shit away? You have to align thoughts, words, actions, and behave accordingly. You have to use your critical thinking, your faculty of your mind, of reasoning, critically think, come to conclusions, and then act accordingly and live in truth, fact, and reality. Guys, it's that simple. But you have to detach. You have to give up on this materialistic consumerist society and world, and because it's all tied in together. And just because you pulled out of this way and you're not participating over here anymore, but you're participating in these ways, you're still participating. You're still perpetuating. So that's all I got to say. Leave your comments at the bottom, and we'll go from there, guys. And remember to take care of yourselves, because these goddamn fucking egotistical, money-hungry, zombied out doctors and these professionals are not going to do it for you. So